think we need Christmas as a great reminder. You know, Jesus doesn't, in my feeling and thinking, belong to any religion, because Jesus was the greatest teacher, the greatest way shower, showing us the universal truths and principles that will guide us into a greater experience of life. Not caring who you are, what you look like, what religion you are, but bringing you to that place where we can lead a better life. That is the gift he gave to us. And this gift is universal. It doesn't wear out. It's been going on for 2,000 years and will continue to do so because it's a message we all need. Of course, at Christmas time, we give gifts to show people we care. But I'd like this time, because as Mary said so beautifully, that beautiful, peaceful opening, Mary, and reminding us that the gifts are important in the physical, but not nearly important as the gift we've already been given. The gift that is given to every single person of highest value. It's unbelievable. It is precious. It is priceless. And it is the gift of life. The gift of life that we've all been given. Sometimes we take it kind of haphazardly. We don't think about how precious it is. I want to share a quote with you from 14th century mystic Hafez. So many gifts. There are so many gifts still unopened from your birthday. So many handcrafted gifts that have been sent to you from God. God does not mind repeating, everything I have is yours. Everything I have is yours. I'm just going to say, holding nothing back, everything. There are so many gifts, my dear, still unopened from your birthday. Oh, so many handcrafted presents that have been sent to you from God. Those gifts reside within us. All of us are pregnant with God. But it's not enough to know that. I think every week we talk about our God center and we have God within us and when and you know. Anyway, it's a good message. Okay, it's a good message. But knowing it is not enough. We have to start pushing. Being pregnant, you don't want to stay pregnant your whole life. Oh my God, I can't even think of that. But we need to start giving birth to those gifts that are in us. The gifts of life, of love, of goodness. Mary said so many in her opening today. Joy, abundance, peace. They're in us. They're right here, but everything. The title today is The Gifts from the Invisible. Everything we see in life, everything, started as an idea in the invisible. It started there, everything. We have to be much more cognizant and aware and open to the connection between the visible and the invisible realms. We have visual perception, and we can get very trapped in the externalities of the world and of the season. And it can cause goodness, it can cause sadness and problems, but what we need to focus on more is what resides within us and what wants to be born. What in us right now wants to be born? We need to be able to set our minds correct because the invisible and the visible realms are interconnected. We can't break them apart. The problem comes in our minds when we close off our willingness to have faith in something greater, to have faith in something bigger than we are. Right here, we're here together, we're loving and caring and all that we're doing and experiencing. There's always something greater at work. And how often do we take time to open up that channel, to welcome that? Do you know music is always playing? Always. But we have to either turn on the radio or do something. We have to turn it on and tune it in. And it's same with the gifts from the invisible. We've got to tune in. So we talked about John O'Donohue being, he was kind of the messenger that gave me some of the thoughts for this month. But he talks about the gift of the imagination. The gift of the imagination is something we all have. It's not something that's for some people and not for others. Some people use it and some don't. Our little granddaughter has one little show she's allowed to watch, and only one episode at a time, sometimes two if Gammy's around, but it's called Tumbleleaf, and the main character's claymation is Fig, and he's a fox, he's a blue fox, and he has a little pocket here with a little caterpillar named Stick here as his best friend. But he always ends up finding something or having a situation that he can't, oh my God, what's he gonna do? And he goes, let me figure this out. Let me figure this out. You and I need to learn to live in the wonder and the awe of things more than the confusion and the disappointment. We need to learn to do that. Instead of living, which we do, if we go right to our phone and look at the news or turn on the TV and get caught up in the stuff of life, we're most of the time looking at stuff that's already happened and what's wrong. It can be very depressing. But if we start realizing it's time to say yes to life, let me just pose some questions for you. First thing, can you live bigger than you are right now? The answer is yes, okay? I'm giving you the answer before the question, okay? I'm gonna ask it once again. Pretend I didn't say that. Okay, can you live bigger than you are right now? Yes. Of course you can, and here's how. Look and say, okay, the invisible realm, remember that's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about buying a bigger thing or more this or this, but ask yourself, what in my life right now am I not forgiving? All of us. There's things in our life that we're not forgiving right now. We're holding on to an old grudge, an anger, a hurt. If we want to live a bigger life, more space, we have to start forgiving. Just think about that. I'm not going to give you a test on the way out, but I want you to think about that. And here, we're born, just as I said, when we had our events team and Peggy came up and all our volunteers, we're born to be interconnected and connect with each other and to contribute to life. We are. Where am I not giving to life? Where am I holding back where I know I could be a benefit? Do something good. Where am I holding back? Think about that, because we can be bigger. Doesn't mean you have to do more things. It could mean just starting every single day before you even get out of bed and saying, I bless the world and all the people in it. I bless the world and all the animals in it. I bless the world and all the plants that are in it. I bless the world and all the people I don't like. Okay, that's an added bonus. And the other thing is, where am I not being willing to put myself in someone else's shoes? You know how important it is? We can get so upset and not know what's going on in someone else's life because we haven't taken the time to find out. We can be really furious at somebody and not knowing what they've been dealing with and putting up with in their own life. And we thought it was just ignoring us or doing something against us. We need to think, where am I judging somebody else and I'm not willing to imagine standing in their shoes? Now, in order for us to think about these things and really be willing to do the work of the imagination, to think of something more, we have to have the right environment. Now, I have to tell you, I looked up here. I was sitting down there, I was there in the circle. I go, who put an old Kleenex on my podium? Ew, ew. And I walked up here and I went, who put that there? Oh, I did. Because it has a prop in it. I knew the topic was really about love this Sunday. And I also knew that we have to have the right environment. Now, it's not the external environment we need to change. I'll tell you, every one of those people on our wisdom wall has faced horrific difficulties. that only made them stronger and better. So I'm not talking about we have to change the outside world. It's the inside world we have to change. We need the right environment in our mind and our hearts. We don't want them to get hardened. But this was a good external representation. Now, I'm not a horticulturist, so this is a heart-shaped leaf of a succulent. And I'll tell you its name. I had to do some research. This little leaf, I don't know if this leaf is that old, but this leaf of the plant is at least 15, maybe 20 years old. Our daughter's, one of her coworkers gave her this little plant that has all these heart-shaped leaves. And I could tell it was a succulent, and I know succulents like sun. So I put it on our dining room table at the time, and there was a lot of sun coming in. And for 15 to 17 years, this plant didn't grow, it didn't die, it just existed. So when we moved, I happened to put it outside. I didn't know that it was a vining succulent that liked to reach and grow and move. And so I put it in a place, and I looked outside, and it was starting to grow. I thought, oh, great, that's a perfect place to let it grow. And I let it grow, and then it started taking over everything. Oh my God, it was just like taking over everything, and I had to go in and say, stop it. It's like sometimes when we get a good idea and we can forget who needs to know anything or anything, we just bulldoze over everything to get it done. So I cut this poor plant down to the very minimum because it was misbehaving and killing some other plants. And I put it on a shelf, but I went out this morning outside, and it has its little vine growing up the shelf, and it looks so cute. I'm going to keep that vine cut, though, but it was a reminder. We need a good environment, and our environment for the invisible, for the thoughts, for the right consciousness, for imagination to flourish. And there's one other thing that goes with imagination, for it to flourish. We need the right environment of the prayers in the morning, acts of kindness, meditation. We need the things that feed our inside before we get stimulated on the outside. So that's what this little heart, so it's a Hoya Carey. I'm sure Colleen knows what it is. I'm sure Sue knows what it is. I'm sure Sue would know if she was here what it is, but I didn't know. But it's a Hoya Carey, and I really love it. So anyway, but behave yourself. So the other thing that is, we dealt with this for many, many years. I mean, in the business, is our intuitive ability. We have all been, there is not a person here that is not intuitive. I know that some of us go, oh, no, I'm not intuitive. No, intuition is just, thoughts of God coming to us and through us. It's not that it's not available, it's there, but we've blocked the entrance gate. And I'll read a quote from Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes says that intuition is our greatest human faculty. It's the greatest gift we have, the intuition. Having an angel store for 7 years, 8 years, angels bring us the thoughts of God. Angels are our intuitive thoughts. They're in that quiet whisper, and they're there for us. And here's Ernest Holmes said, the doorway to the absolute stands open at the center of our intuitive perception. So the absolute, God, the divine, is always there waiting to speak for us, always, never a time not. We're the one that needs to build the bridge and create the pathway. We're the one that needs to open ourselves, to soften our minds from the strict linear thinking to more open-minded. That's the wonder and the what-if thinking. That's the why that Rob talks about. That's all of that. And we have to soften our hearts. If our hearts are getting hardened, we don't get that message. We don't believe it and feel it. It's the spiritual channel through which the divine flows, and it wants to flow. It's always there for us. We have, I say this pretty much every Sunday too, we have one hand in the hand of God. We are one of the individualized expressions of God. We have that there. And another out to the world. That's what we have. That's how we live. And we have to keep that channel open for us so that we can really have the guidance. None of us walks alone. There's always, God knows the answer to a problem right then, right away. We need to be available and ready to listen. So I said the invisible and the visible are one. So what keeps us from being connected? We want to build that bridge. Well, one of the things, I don't know about you, but too many of us, well, let me tell you a story first. It's a story of a man who was going to Africa, and he wanted to take this trip through the jungle, and he was really excited. So he got a couple of African guys to help him carry his things, and he was so excited. But he kept pushing them to get through, to get going, to get going. He kept pushing them and pushing them. And after the third day, they sat down that third night, and they wouldn't move. They just sat. They wouldn't move. They wouldn't go anywhere. And he couldn't figure out why. He goes, what's going on? What's going on? I don't get it. I don't get it. And finally, one of the fellows said, we have moved too quickly to be here. Now we need to wait to give our spirits a chance to catch up with us. How many of us move too quickly? We've left our spiritual understanding, our faith, our patience, our whatever it is you feel, we've left that behind because we are so busy to get things done. We're so busy to keep our minds going that we don't take that precious time to let our spirits catch up with us. We need to be doing that, especially this time where we can go out and look at the lights at the darkest day of the year, and we can let the light from within us connect to something greater. It's a possibility for all of us. We can do that. There's so many creative people who are examples to us. Michelangelo, he would always keep his imagination open. And every time he looked at a piece of stone, no matter how contorted or ugly or awful or dirty it was, and he knew there was something that wanted to be revealed, something more. And we could look at ourselves like that, especially at times when we're having troubles, when we're not being the highest version of ourselves. Has that come across this time of year at all to anybody? That we can realize there's something in us that wants to be revealed. There's something there. We have to make the space and chip away just the things we went over before, the lack of forgiveness, the lack of understanding, the lack of listening, the lack of all those things. Chip those away so we can let that greater something, the better version of ourselves come out. Christmas time is all about the birth of infinite possibilities. Jesus was a miracle maker. He was born a human, but he worked to become the Christ energy, the infinite divine energy of possibilities and love and goodness. And that's what we're all striving for. That takes faith in the things we cannot see. And also, Ernest Holmes writes about the bowl of acceptance. We may have faith. It's just like knowing there's something wonderful inside of us, but not be willing to do the work. We can know there's something greater, have faith in the things unseen, but unless we put out a bowl of acceptance, that we're willing to accept that gift and live it, it's just going to be an idea. It's just going to be a thought in our head. We can have faith that it's there, have a bowl of acceptance, and then we need to share it. We need to share it. So let's take this time right now. Just put your feet on the ground. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And as you breathe, breathe in the light. Right through the top of your head, that light from the invisible light of God's infinite love and goodness. Breathe in the light of awareness. Bring in the light of understanding, of openness, of joy. Welcome that light of abundance, the abundant good, the abundant resources, whatever we need, just breathe it in until that place that we feel filled with the light and love of God's infinite goodness. When we feel the guidance that we've been looking for, the clarity we've been seeking, because we get our mind and our thought focused and in alignment with what is good and right and true. It's in us now. And as we fill ourselves, down to our fingertips and our toes, we feel the light of God's goodness. And as it fills us and we get filled, we radiate it out because we know that connection. We can feel it in our fingertips, the connection of the light of love that binds us all, the light of compassion, the light of healing. We feel it now as we are awakened, as we sit or stand in the light of love, the light of joy. We feel the blessing that we are, how we've been blessed with the most precious gift there is, the gift of light, the gift of life. And now we can be a conduit of God's love. We can be the expressors of God's love. We can open our minds and hearts and recognize that home is where the heart is. Home is where we connect with our greater divine self, where we connect with our imagination and intuition and knowing, so we can celebrate our way home.